All right, guys, you know the drill. We've got another series here, Hera versus Liereyy. Recording this straight to you for YouTube. I'm co-casting for Escape AoE today. I just wanted to put some content out because, you know, doing a lot of hours on Escape is great, but I want to make sure that people who enjoy my channel still get a chance to see my point of view and hear what we have to say about things. So I hope you guys enjoyed this series, Hera versus Liereyy. We are, as you can see on the bracket, we're in Europe East. The Escape Gaming Champions League just kicked off. This is the first stage of the tournament. And you can see on the bracket, each team will have 2 representatives.
Mind, you can't hear me.
And here we'll have
There
Zach
you go.
coming.
Hopefully you're ready to go, Killer B.
Yes, sir. Absolutely ready. Hera versus Liereyy is going to be exciting, man. And by the way, great video.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, that was really fun to make and something a little bit different, I guess.
Yeah, that was awesome. Doubt is a super cool guy. I was thinking about it the other day. Like, you and I have had a chance to meet him a few times. He's a legend in the community, but not that many people get to know what he's really like outside of, you know, when he's playing Age of Empires. Just a super sweet guy. So much love to Doubt out there, and great video.
All right, well, let's not wait any further to get our next game going. We're going to launch it right now. Keep the hype train rolling with Hera versus Liereyy coming up next. Best of 3 to decide who goes on to face Doubt in the next game of this single elimination bracket. Let's do it. We didn't look at the maps first. I realized we made a mistake there and didn't show the maps. But game number 1 here between Liereyy and Hera in the first round is going to be on Scandinavia. Joining me once again, it's going to be Killer B. And this is going to be our last set that we're casting together of the day, because after this one, it's going to be Resonance 22 and T90 taking the gauntlet and doing our job.
Yeah, I was teary-eyed from the Doubt video, and now I'm teary-eyed from not being able to cast more matches with you today. But hey, we'll be back tomorrow, guys. And of course, Resonance and T90 are going to put on a great show. For now, it's a best of 3. It's going to be a great show between Liereyy and Hera. The map is Scandinavia. We'll see Hera playing in the green, Liereyy in the red. Both guys choosing Byzantines here, Zach. What are your thoughts as we launch this one?
Yeah, so we saw a really good Scandinavia game earlier on, and both players there were taking Mongols, actually. This time around, they're both gone for Byzantines, so a little bit of a different approach, but an approach that is shared by both players. They're thinking along a common line here, and I think we're going to see a very different style of Scandinavia than what we saw in the last set between Zuppy and Miguel. This time around, I wouldn't be surprised to see both players docking, you know, instead of going forward and taking all the deer so hard, for example. However, I wouldn't be surprised to see some kind of laming, since already we can see Liereyy coming forward with his scout, getting a little close to Hera's TC there. But, you know, I'm looking forward to this matchup. I'm excited for this matchup. A little bit of context. These guys, 2 young players. Both of these guys were born after this game was released, which blows my mind, really.
Yeah, it's really a battle of the youngsters here. I think Liereyy is 16, Hera is what, 17 or 18, right? So
yeah,
both extremely young players. And as you said, the game's been around longer than they have. Right now, I'm watching Liereyy trying to get around and do some laming. He has found a couple of his opponent's boars, but has not been able to grab anything just yet. I'm not sure if he'll get that done, but once this calms down a bit, I got a couple of fun facts for you. But let's watch the scout play first.
all right, absolutely. And of course, this is a tournament game. Anything goes. Laming absolutely on the cards for both players here if they want to take that opportunity, if they get that opportunity even. Looks like neither player's been able to pull it off just yet. And I want to just point out real quick about the maps here. Liereyy and Hera both have very close, very accessible deer patches. This time around, the deer is closer to the town center, and it's toward the back or to the side of their base. In the last game, the deer was all at the front. And obviously, the way that the map is laid out and where the animals spawn and the generation certainly does influence the players and the decisions that they make within the game. But it looks like, so far, we've not seen anything too out of the ordinary, but Hera might have an opportunity here to kill this villager from Liereyy, and I think he might just get it.
Yeah, it looks like he's going to get a few pokes on that Vil. No loom in for our player Liereyy in red. That villager does not look like he's going to make it back home.
Oh, and Liereyy saves it. Oh, yes. That's what I want to see. Like, I was just waiting for that. I was like, right, he's running her in circles around the house. He's circling the house. He's got to make a play. And as he just crosses that corner, he puts a wall down between the tree and the palisade. Hera's scout has to walk all the way around, and then he walls it in. But, oh my, if it doesn't work now, if he ends up losing it now, he's going to get Loom. So he might be just about okay. Will Loom save the skin of this villager? I think it will. Hera's bailing.
Yeah, Hera's going to bail there. Very nice attempt to get some damage in on Liereyy. Liereyy was trying to patrol around in the green base. He was trying to lame one of Hera's vills when he came to grab his boar. I think the micro that he had to put, the focus he had to put on that docking villager stopped him from laming Hera. So although Hera doesn't get the lame, he probably saves a potential villager getting knocked down by keeping Liereyy very busy. Okay, Zach. So this game is stabilized. I got a couple fun facts for you.
Yeah, I'm waiting. I'm ready. This is the Killer Bee clipboard coming out right here.
The clipboard is out, and I hope that this is interesting to you and to the viewers here. So Hera, people know this guy. They know that he is about a 2,300, actually almost 2,400 rated player. You guys know him. He's been around for a long time in the community. You might think Lierey's the second best player in the game. He's going to handle Hera just fine. Hera versus Aftermath players not named Liereyy, 41 wins, 41 losses. Hera versus Liereyy, 4 out of the last 7 have gone to Hera. So it's not an easy matchup for Liereyy or any of the Aftermath crew. Hera can take games from any of these guys, and although he's maybe 100 points lower than Liereyy rating, don't be surprised at all if he's able to pull out a win in this series.
All right, that's an interesting stat. So obviously those games are friendly games, not tournament games. But 4 out of 7 means that if it were a best of 7, Hera would have won. And this is a best of 3. So Hera only has to get 2 wins in this match to take the game. Interesting. Interesting. I wouldn't have thought that, to be honest with you.
I was very surprised by it as well because, you know, Liereyy is pretty much hands down our second best player in the game. Maybe some people would argue about some other players, but certainly a beast of a player is Liereyy. He's in great shape. We've seen him showing up and playing great in the last couple of tournaments. But Hera is, I was saying earlier, Zach, he's kind of an unknown quantity because he's played for a long time. He's really great. He'll leave the game for a while, once in a while, and then he'll come back strong. However much practice he has right now is a little unknown to me, and I don't know how good he is right now, but he's certainly going to be a challenge for Liereyy.
Well, before we get truly into the feudal age here, I want to add one thing to that as well, and that is that, you know, like you say, Hera goes away from the game for a while, and he comes back, and he's still able to take down the giants. I think if he really tries hard, and he really focuses, and puts so much more effort into Age of Empires 2, he could become one of the best, if not the best, at some point in his career. Absolutely has the potential to do it, as does Liereyy as well. And I think it comes down to both of these guys. You know, they're both interested in other games as well. But if there's motivation, if there's a reason to play Age of Empires and train for Age of Empires, they could certainly go down in the history books, let's say, as 2 of the best players to ever play this game. So Liereyy going out with a sneak dock. Well, I say sneak only because he's not been found yet, but Hera would probably not be surprised when a fire galley comes out of the fog of war here. And also, he's going down with an archery range in the middle of the map into skirms. That's pretty standard for the Byzantines. Let's see a massive skirmisher army here in the feudal age. That's what I want to see. It's been too long.
I think you're going to get that wish, Zach. Right now it is double ranges down for the green player, just finishing up that second range. Skirmisher production for Hera on that side. Hera is not taking gold that I can see, so he's just going to be going for some skirms. He does have a little gold in the bank if he does need to push Liereyy back. Lierey's first fire galley comes out, and he heads toward Hera's fishing ships, and we'll see how many of those he can strike down. But notably, Liereyy has to wait a little longer to get his second range down. He spent the wood on the forward dock.
Yeah, but I think that's absolutely worth it. Taking 5 fish out of the hands of your opponent will certainly be a worthwhile investment for Liereyy. And of course, we saw in the last game as well, once he's won the water here, he could even add his own fish in as well, if he likes. Obviously, Hera will make a fire galley as well, but by the time that fire galley comes out, he's already lost 2 fish, and he might even lose some more. This could be a signal for Hera to push on the land. This could be an opportunity for Hera to do some damage on the land. But unlike a fire galley killing fish, which is an incredibly easy task, skirmishers killing villagers, not quite so straightforward.
And speaking of villagers dying, the green player Hera has found that forward vill from Liereyy, and that villager is going to go down. So the scout able to clean up that forward vill from Liereyy. Not the most meaningful thing in the world, but it is important to clean up those forward vills, or else they can become a bit of a problem. We saw that problem with Zuppy versus Miguel earlier. So Hera cleaning up that vill. Skirmisher fight continues to heat up for these guys. Fletching is in for both players. And like you said, that fire ship is going to get great value, Zach. I think it killed every fishing ship that Hera had.
Yeah, 1 fire for 5 fish. Super good. And interestingly, Hera even cancelled his fire galley there, which says to me that he's just going to let it go. But by letting it go, he's not going to find that actually Liereyy is now fishing here as well. And so Liereyy is up to 6 fish. He might be 1 villager behind, but that does not make up for 6 fish. How is Hera going to, like, you know, make up this lost ground now? What is he going to do? As far as I can tell, he's getting wheelbarrow a little bit earlier, if I'm not mistaken. And he should have a small edge then on his farms, but it's still not going to make up for now 7 fish. And he has to figure something out here in order to combat that.
Yeah, Hera has dropped down a bunch more farms than his opponent, maybe 5 or 6 more farms than Liereyy at the moment. Liereyy is farming as well. Liereyy is adding a stable in the back of his eco. Maybe because of all these farms, Hera will be a little bit later to being able to add a stable himself. A stable in this case, of course, means you can build a couple scouts, and you might be able to break the deadlock with about 3 scouts here. Your army can really turn into, okay, it's equal on the skirmisher war to I'm winning by a lot. So let's see if some scouts get in the mix here in a moment.
Yeah, man, we're tripping through time right here as we take I don't know, a time machine back to 2003 or something. But that's just the Byzantines in a nutshell. I like it. I like it a lot. A lot of good micro from both of these guys, both of them dodging, ducking, dipping, diving. And it's hard to say which way it's going exactly because Liereyy has the KD advantage. But remember, he did get 5 fish. So on the land, it's probably quite equal, actually, in this trade. They've both added the stable. And we're going to see the scouts for both. Liereyy should have the edge here, though. That food economy going to be so much better for him. But Hera closing the gap with the skirms. He knows he's got the edge, and he's going to push it. He's got a great sense for when he can take a good fight and push the advantage.
This is really important for Hera, Zach, because Hera is not building the scouts. Surprisingly, he has saved up for castle and has not built a single scout inside of that stable. Lierey's coming with scouts, and he's going to overwhelm Hera's position. But Hera thinning that herd down of skirmishers actually could be pretty meaningful. It could help him survive a bit longer while he gets up to castle.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And right now, obviously, Liereyy is going for the scout option, which is absolutely slowing his castle age down, but it's a trade-off. He's trading his castle age time for a military advantage now, in the hope that once Hera reaches castle, he's not going to have as much military on the field, and Liereyy can then catch back up and then take a greater advantage, a greater lead. The problem is, Hera, once he gets to the castle age, will be able to start adding a couple of knights. And a couple of knights is going to do a lot more than 3 or 4 scouts, since they'll clean up a whole army of skirms on their own. Hera's getting close to castle, but here comes Liereyy, and you can now see the disruption that these scouts are causing, pushing him away from the gold, costing him maybe a couple of villagers' lives, and certainly costing him some skirms here as well.
Yeah, I like that Hera built a couple of scouts as a stopgap after clicking up to castle. He spent a little bit of food to get some scouts out, and that's going to allow him to keep this position afloat for a bit. But Liereyy, don't get it twisted, just did get some really nice damage by taking away his opponent's gold, thinning down the skirmisher number a bit, and grabbing a couple of vills. So Lierey's in a great spot. He is going to be up to the castle age now, and let's see if Hera, with those first couple of camels, can get some damage done.
Yeah, the camel choice. I mean, I should have seen that coming, really, shouldn't I? But great micro from Liereyy here. He's microing these skirmishers to the very last second. As the camel comes out, we'll clean up the last of the scouts, and then we'll go and turn its attention onto the skirms. Looks like Hera will clean this up, but boy, oh boy. Liereyy doing so much damage right there already. In the end, though, things roughly even. 36 to 32. And remember, Liereyy killed 5 fish. So Hera stabilizing quite nicely, and the camels, it's an obvious great choice. Obviously, Liereyy had the scouts on the field already.
Yeah, the camels come out. Monastery will follow. We'll see our green player Hera adding in another TC over to the left side and another town center as well on the right. So he's thinking about booming a bit while getting some camel production going as well. Liereyy did just drop a second stable, so we could see Liereyy pump out a lot of camels quickly if he needs to.
Third stable, actually.
Oh, is it 3?
Yeah. And I've got it. I love this. I love this so much. You've got 3 stables, 2 ranges, and a barracks. And he's making spears from the barracks. He's making camels from 3 stables. And who knows? He might even start throwing in some crossbow at some point as well. I love this kind of playstyle, but it's interesting because Liereyy right now only on 2 TCs, doesn't have the wood for a third, and ramping up the pressure with a monastery here as well. It looks like he's going to be focusing on military production and squeezing as much out of that as he possibly can over the next couple of minutes.
Yeah, Leary's going to have some minutes to do damage if he does keep triple stable camels going. Hera's economy is somewhat nicely defended by the TCs, but in the northern part of that eco, there's a really weak wood line and a bunch of farms there that can't really be protected. So if our red player Liereyy can overwhelm this position, he can probably get a lot of eco damage in. For now, it's going to be a monk getting chased around, but I guess he's going to survive for the moment.
Yeah, and he gets the conversion on the camel as well, which is really nice. But once again, Liereyy pushes Hera away from the gold as Hera goes and builds a market out there. But right now, I think Hera's trying to catch up in economy, right? He's trying to play catch up. He's fastest to the castle age, which means he's fastest to get the 3 TCs up. And then because of that, he's then able to start taking a villager advantage and making up for the lack of fish. Obviously, the fish are really working in Lierey's favor at the moment, and I mean, it's hard to really quantify or say just how much of an advantage it's giving him, but you can see already that triple stable camels, no problem for Liereyy, and Hera, on the other hand, well, he's really falling behind in military count right now as he adds a second barracks, and he actually did do the crossbow tech, but he's not training many crossbows.
Yeah, right now he's trying to tread water. He will have the pikeman upgrade coming. That second barracks will come as well. Liereyy is happy to focus down that monastery on the front so that he doesn't have to lose any more camels to monks. Liereyy will also bring a forward siege workshop and a couple of monks on the front. And Hera's got to have a response to this soon because this could get out of hand really quickly, Zach.
Absolutely. It's one of those things. It might be a trash, quote-unquote, army, but if you've got 28 military versus 9, it's going to be a tough one to follow through, right? Like, to defend from. So right now, the pikes are kind of a last-ditch attempt to deal with the camels, but Lierey's following it up with skirms. He's pretty smart. He knows that pikes are going to be the logical answer to this army, and well, Skirmisher's going to have that attack bonus versus the pikes here, and even versus the crossbows as well. So Lierey's in a great spot as he batters down the front of Hera's base, and Hera investing into the third TC might have been, well, maybe not a bad decision, but it's certainly costing him some ground right now.
It's so cool to watch the patience of Liereyy here. I mean, if I know my opponent is up on a couple TCs before me, sometimes I'm diving in trying to grab some fills. Liereyy is just being smart about it. He's taking military buildings down. He's got a monastery already. He'll kill 2 ranges and a barracks before Hera has anything really to try to stop him with. So just taking out the production, making it even harder for Hera to get back into the game. In the meantime, our green player does have a few camels forward. I think they're walled off of doing too much damage, but we'll have to keep an eye on some counterattacks from Hera.
You know, I really would have liked to see Hera try and dock Lierey's water, right? I mean, if Liereyy did it to him, I mean, he could do it back, and it just seems like a little bit of a slip-up to let your opponent have 8 fish uncontested and then try and outboom them on the land. Like, it just doesn't really work out that way. Sure, you might have an extra 5 vills right now, but it still doesn't make up for the 8 fish. And I've been saying this for a while, but it's just been carrying Liereyy forward. And Liereyy, meanwhile, after producing this whopping army of 35 mangonels, camels, spearmen, skirms, taking the fight now, by the way. This could work out quite well for Liereyy. He lands a couple of nice mangonel shots. The camels don't really want to engage there, but he's also got some monks behind it. But those mangonels, man, they're doing the damage for Liereyy right here.
Yeah.
But I wanted to follow through by saying, even after creating all this army, he's still going up to the Imperial Age with that Byzantine cheaper Imperial.
Yeah, Liereyy on the way up to Imp, and that fight turned out to be a really great fight for him. The pikes got in some good pokes, but neither of the mangonels went down, and I didn't see any monks dying either. So Pretty good, really good fight from Liereyy. Hera is in a lot of trouble now. His military number is 11. He's got a couple of camels and a couple of pikes, but he doesn't have an answer for Liereyy, who's going to be imp very shortly.
Yeah, absolutely. Liereyy is going to be in such a great position in just a few moments' time here once he's able to get some more upgrades in. Obviously, Liereyy right now I mean, he's doing this on 2 TCs as well, and he's just got so much production. He had so many camels. Now he's starting to get some more upgrades. He did the light cavalry upgrade. He's finishing upgrading his elite skirmishers now as well. But honestly, I think it was the mangonels that won Liereyy that fight. They did so much damage to the pikes. And like you say, they didn't go down either. It's going to be on Hera now to perhaps even commit to a full-on Castle Age defense here. Imperial Age might even be out of the question for Hera right now, as he needs to ramp up production. He's immediately coming forward the second that Liereyy hits the Imperial Age to try and push him back, whittle down his numbers a little bit, prevent him from getting too much of a mass that he cannot deal with later on. And Liereyy will fall back, even taking the time to build a house with this villager to stop this army barreling through the middle of the map. But Liereyy will comfortably get Bracer, comfortably get chemistry, and even Dunring now coming through for him as well.
Yeah, like you said, Hera's probably going to have to commit to... Well, he's looking actually like his resources are pointing toward Imp. It would be nice to go in all-in castle, but Liereyy killed so many production buildings. At my last count, Hera had 2 stables, 2 barracks, and no archery ranges in a siege workshop. So it's like, I'm sure he would love to commit to full castle, but he just doesn't have the buildings for it. It's such a hard spot.
I genuinely feel like right now, Hera going up to Imperial, he just spent all that resource on going in. And Liereyy, meanwhile, is going to be in a position in a moment to start pushing in. And where's Hera going to be then? I don't know if he's going to have the numbers to defend it against a better upgraded army.
Yeah, I don't think...
Liereyy seems to be biding his time.
Yeah, I don't think Hera's going to have too many good answers because the bombard cannons are starting to roll out of those siege workshops on the front. Liereyy will also grab Hussars so he can spend his gold on cannons and he can have a nice little army to defend that group. He's got a big group of elite skirms, a bunch of camels, and some Hussar to go with it. So Hera is really going to have trouble breaking this army, but here come a few mangonels looking for a shot. Let's see if they get one.
Yeah, they are going to come in, and well, I mean, Liereyy there can basically one-shot a mangonel. This TC, future doesn't look bright for it, does it? Or maybe it does, as that bombard cannon goes a little bit too far forward. Bit of a misclick from Liereyy there, quite uncharacteristic from him. And I guess my concern was that Hera would click Imp, and then Liereyy would like start steamrolling him. But it seems like Hera's going to get away with it. Seems like Hera will be able to reach the Imperial Age and keep most of his army safe behind this TC. And if he can do that, of course, then he can get Halbs up. He can perhaps upgrade to Heavy Camel as well. I don't really know where he wants to go with this at the moment. He's obviously got a lot of options. The Byzantines have one of the widest tech trees in the game. They certainly could do many, many different things.
Yeah, I'm not sure what direction he's going, but like you said, I'm surprised that he's still got an opportunity here. I thought he was going to get steamrolled by Liereyy. Imperial Age is coming still slowly, and notably, Hera's Imperial Age was not being upgraded in that front TC. That would have been really devastating for him. Lierey's coming in to try to knock down this position. He does have a lot of camels, Hussar, and a lot of elite skirms. But Hera, if he can micro those mangonels okay, might have a chance to hold this and make something out of this game.
Yeah, but he's now going into Onager, which could be huge if he can hit some big Onager shots onto those skirms, but that won't be so easy, as the bombard cannons at the back are working on taking those mangonels down and doing a stellar job of it as well. 3 for 0 right now on that bombard cannon, and the next one is going to be in its sights in just a moment's time. Looks like Hera wanted to make the push, but he's made this push before any of his upgrades have come in. He might just have enough to keep Liereyy at bay for a few seconds, but he loses the last mangonel before Onager comes in, and the GG is immediately called. And this is exactly kind of what I was getting at before. Like, Hera waited until the Imperial Age, but he was forced to fight before his upgrades could come through. He couldn't buy himself enough time before Liereyy started steamrolling. And I have to ask the question if maybe he'd committed to full Castle Age, if he'd have been able to push Liereyy back enough to buy himself the time to get in safely a little bit later on. I'm not sure, to be honest, but Liereyy played a fantastic game and looked super strong there in the end.
Yeah, full castle would have been a really interesting opportunity for Hera to try to give it a go. I mean, he was behind in this game, Zach, because he went immediately double range skirmishers, and Liereyy went one range skirms, and Liereyy went with the forward dock and killed all of his fishing. And that, because of that, things kind of slowly but surely kept grinding in Lierey's direction. He had so much food economy on the water with 8 fish throughout the entire game that, you know, that little boost gave him an opportunity to get up to imp sooner, and it allowed him to be in the driver's seat in the mid to late game. I would have loved to see that all-in castle push from Hera, but it wasn't in the cards this game. We'll see him go down 1-0. And obviously, a best of 3 needs to win the next game, Zach.
Yeah, he does. Obviously, the overlay right now is incorrect. Zuppy did not win that game. He did win Valley earlier, but he didn't win that game. That was Lierey's game. Robo fixed the overlay. But yeah, so you can see that Liereyy, with the food collected, an extra 2,000. You have to wonder how much of that was due to the fishing ships. It's impossible to say. It would be nice to know though. But obviously, in the end, greater number of units killed versus lost, much greater army, and he was just able to push through. I think the big thing for Liereyy there at the very end was the bombard cannons. Even if Hera had managed to get onager, the bombard cannons were already up, and they would have been able to pick off the onagers just as easily as they picked off those mangonels like we saw. But first game goes the way of Liereyy, as you say, and the next game will be very important. Hera has to win game 2, otherwise he will be knocked out and Liereyy will advance.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see if we can get some momentum going for Hera here. As I said, the stats are okay for him in friendly games, but as you said, when the chips are down, it's a very different matchup. Whenever we're ready for the next match, we'll go in and we'll see if Liereyy can stamp his ticket to the next round. We'll see if Hera can continue to give it an opportunity. Looks like the game is launching now, Zach. Let's go.
It is indeed. Game is launching, and we're not going to waste any time getting into game number 2 between these guys. We just saw Scandinavia. Now we're going to see Valley in the second game between Liereyy and Hera. It looks like we got a little bit of a color change here. It shouldn't happen, but it did. We have Hera now in the teal to the south. He's playing as the Mongols. And up to the north in the green, we have Liereyy playing as the Mongols as well. Interestingly, taking Mongols here on Valley, as we saw Mongols being used on Scandinavia in the last set between Zuppy and Miguel. Obviously, a different way of thinking for the youngsters here.
Yeah, and I'll catch up to you in just a moment, just relaunching into the match, and I'll leave it to you for a second.
Right, no problem at all. Of course, the Mongols have a place on this map as much as they have a place on Scandinavia. This map does feature the extra deer in the middle, which if you can grab them or push them or somehow obtain them through legal or illegal means, they are of great benefit to your economy as the Mongols. We did see, actually, in the last set, I keep referencing the last set, but we saw how, I think it was Zuppy was able to build a mill on the front of his berries and was able to push the deer in toward them. Obviously, that won't be so easy for Hera this game, since his berries are in the back, but it could be something that Liereyy could take advantage of in the north. If he builds the mill to the north, there's a nice clear path to those deer in the center of the map, which he can push if he likes to do that.
Yeah, Zach, and I'm back up into the game with you now. Looking forward to game number 2 of this set. As you guys can see, Liereyy grabbing game number 1. It's a best of 3, so obviously Liereyy wins this one. He'll take the series home. And I don't know, looking quickly at the map, I really like all the gold in the north of Lierey's base. It makes me really happy looking at the mini map. Whether he can protect that part of the map is to be seen, but probably it's usually a rather wallable map in the mid game. So that could be a really nice thing for Liereyy to have 3 gold piles up north of his TC.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And I mean, we look at Hera's map, for example, and his main gold's kind of off to the right. He's got this third gold in the south, but the other gold's kind of to the north. I don't know. It's like he's got more gold piles close by, since he has 4 close by. Liereyy only has the 3, but they're so safe. To be honest, I think Hera's map isn't terrible, but it certainly feels a little bit more open. Obviously, the right side of his base, for example, a lot more open. Liereyy can very easily close off the front of his base with a couple of walls, and then the left side's already started to be walled up by Liereyy now, as you can see that palisading house there. So I don't know. I'm feeling good about Lierey's map at the moment, and you can already see him building the mill and pushing the deer, as we said, on the other side of that berry patch.
Yeah, that double duty mill is so nice. You can get the berries and the deer. By the way, Hera in there maybe thinking about laming a villager that was luring in the boar, but not quite going to get there in time. So our teal player continues to scout around, but has yet to find any damage to do. It actually doesn't look like Hera's going to have an opportunity to steal anything or kill any vills. So Lierey's scout pushing deer, although it's really greedy, is getting a lot more efficiency than Hera's at the moment.
Hera might have the opportunity to steal a couple of sheep, but in a game of Mongols where there's an abundance of deer, a couple of sheep, it's really chump change, isn't it? It's not really anything to write home about. So Hera will, yeah, he'll spot the sheep and send them home. But Lierey's getting all those juicy deer, and he's got deer at the back as well, which he's also taking right now too. So Lierey's off to a good start. Hera's score looking scarily high right now, but it's all down to scouting. Look at the difference. Hera on the minimap sees a good solid chunk of the map, and Liereyy on the other hand, very limited vision.
Yeah, Hera's going to go for 17 villagers and up, and I think the difference here is Loom. Liereyy went up without Loom, and Hera grabbed Loom before clicking up. So Liereyy will be up sooner, but Hera will have a little bit tougher of vills. Sometimes with Mongols you can go up without Loom because you're up so early, but in this case it looks like Lierey's going to be fine on those non-loomed vills.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Because that's considered to be a very risky move to make. But Liereyy played with his scout very defensively, and obviously felt confident that he could reach feudal without Loom here. I remember Doubt making a video once saying, like, the longer you delay Loom, the better. And obviously we've known that to be the case for a long time. So I wonder how much of an advantage Liereyy is going to get by delaying it for 8 minutes of game time. I mean, that's a very late Loom from him, but it's certainly going to be paying off.
Yeah, Lierey's going to drop down a stable right away. He will grab Loom now that he's in the feudal age. And yeah, it wasn't punished for it, so it was definitely worth it in this case. And the 3 push deer will be a nice little icing on the top of that cake for Liereyy. So for Hera in this game, he's 1 villager slower up to the feudal age. I don't see a stable down from him yet. There it is, just starting it. Felt like a few seconds late, yeah.
It's quite late, and you can see the difference here. Liereyy is going to have his first scout out before Hera even builds his stable. So Hera there, he shouldn't have been that late on the stable, I feel. I mean, there was nothing inherently wrong with his build order, aside from missing maybe a couple of extra deer compared to Liereyy, but he should have been able to get that stable up as soon as he hit the feudal age. Liereyy now very confident in his position. He's even building a mill in the center of the map. He's got more scouts out already, and he's even added a spearman. Might add some more if things start to look a bit scary, but for the time being, he's comfortably taking the deer, and the longer that Liereyy takes the deer, the bigger of an advantage he's going to get. Hera needs to stop this. Hera needs to do something about this, but it's going to be tough since Liereyy already has the military advantage.
Yeah, Hera slow with that second scout to come out, so his damage potential is a little lower than his opponent. He's trying to roam around and find some damage. Both guys adding spears into the middle of the map. Liereyy will circle around Zach, and he's sending 4 scouts to the back woodline of Hera. That woodline is not protected, but it will be quick-walled from Hera.
It will be protected if he quick-walls it up, though. Damn.
Nice.
Very quick from Hera. Spots it coming and walls it up very quickly. He might lose a villager here, but he will keep them all safe and even get a scout from Liereyy. So well responded from Hera there. Very quick reactions. That's what we like to see. But Hera unable to do any damage in return while those scouts were away. Actually, maybe tell a lie. I do see 1 dead villager in the middle of the map. So I'm wrong. Sorry. It looks like he even killed 2 villagers out here, unless they're spearmen. It's hard to tell, but he's down by 2 vills. So I'm going to say they're 2 villagers.
It was an interesting calculation for Liereyy to send those 4 scouts around into the back of Hera's base. He was obviously looking to get in some damage on the backside, but because those scouts were away, Hera was able to do a little attack into the center and grab a couple of vills, or a vill. I'm still not exactly sure on the numbers. But now Hera is going to try to push to the middle with some villagers of his own and a couple of spears. And I don't know, Zach, whoever wins the middle of this map in the early game is going to have that massive advantage of being able to take deer with the Mongols' villagers for the feudal age.
Yeah, I'm going to put my foot down here and quickly put team colors on because it's getting very difficult to see how these fights are going. We got Liereyy in the blue here, Hera now in the red, as teal and green just too difficult to tell apart. Quite a messy fight going on in the middle. Liereyy will push Hera back there though, and although Hera will maintain a villager advantage, Liereyy will maintain the center of the map and get all of those tasty deer.
Yeah,
she's got a thing for venison, man.
Yeah, Liereyy is
Quiet taste, an expensive taste. He might only be 17, but he certainly knows what he likes, and he likes the finer things in life.
He will be having a lot of venison in the middle of the map, all to himself. 2 mills there with, I believe, just 4 villagers for now, but it could be more as the game goes on, as he gets more confident in his hold of the middle. We will see bloodlines coming from Liereyy soon. He's got 8 military. Hera at the moment is on 3. Hera is kind of a little light in the loafers for now. He's going to have another spearman coming, but his scout number is not really a threatening number. 2 scouts on not full HP are not going to find too much damage inside of Lierey's eco, at least not that I can see.
Yeah, there's the 4 scouts as well from Liereyy in the back of Hera's base as well here. Looks like Hera's spearman going to do some solid damage, but Liereyy now has bloodlines. I don't know if we mentioned that already, which will allow him to do so much more damage with those scouts, be able to pick off the odd spearman here or there as well. And Hera just doesn't have bloodlines yet. He's seeding down like 1 million farms. And on the other side, Liereyy doesn't quite have as many farms because he's got those deer. And I can't say how much these deer are helping Liereyy right now in this game. And like I said before, Hera needs to do something about it. It's not that straightforward.
Yeah, I was giving you some stats about Hera and Liereyy and Aftermath before the match, and I wonder, after seeing these couple of matches, if the difference there being Arabia versus not all on Arabia. I mean, Liereyy here clearly seems to know, or seems to be able to take over the most important parts of the map. In the last game, he won the water and the fishing on both sides of Scandinavia, and in this game, he has now won control of the center, and he's getting all those deer. So Liereyy using a lot of leverage on the really key important parts. Hera's still afloat here. He's still going to have a chance to defend this, but he's going to be playing a little bit behind economically from Liereyy for a little while to come.
Yeah, Lierey's going to be feeling pretty confident pushing in here as well, because he's got a good number of spears, but like I said before, the extra 20 health on his scouts really helping things out, and if he can focus down the spearmen of Hera, he's got a clear runway to take out basically the whole of Hera's army right here, and even deny the gold. Now, Hera has so many choices of gold spots to take. You could take the one down here, you could take the one out here, but he feels like this one on the left is the one for him. And I think the reason he's taking this gold is because he has his military production buildings here. The others are a little bit too exposed, in my opinion. And although this gold is not great, it's certainly the best he's got for now.
Yeah, Hera he's still defending this position okay. He's got a 1 villager advantage. He's going to maybe not quite have an opportunity to grab some scouts there from Liereyy. Maybe some quick walling could have gotten that done. But of course, the big difference is Liereyy has now clicked to the Castle Age, and Hera is just now clicking Wheelbarrow. So Liereyy will have a tech advantage quite nicely, and Hera, probably sensing this, is going to go scale mail armor, Zach. He's going to just try to defend in this match.
Interesting, isn't it? I mean, I have to give credit to Hera here because it's 18 kills for Hera and 17 deaths, and when your opponent out-techs you with bloodlines, it's just quite an impressive feat. But the Castle Age here from Liereyy, probably as a result of having these deer so much of the game, it is going to be huge, right? As soon as he gets to the Castle Age, Hera is going to find it a lot harder to defend, and Liereyy, in my opinion, should probably consider switching into crossbow, perhaps. I mean, it's an option, right? Hera has quite a lot of spears. His map's super open. I think crossbows could do a lot of damage here. It's not uncommon to see the Mongols going crossbow, and, well, you actually see a range coming down for Liereyy right now, so I hope I'm right on that one.
I think he heard you, Zach, because at first it was the foundation of a stable, and then he deleted it, and now it's a range. Really? Yeah, so maybe going stable on instinct and then deciding, okay, well, that's a lot of spears I keep seeing from Hera, so going with a range. By the way, +1 damage is in for Liereyy, +1 defense is in for Hera. So both guys beefing up the melee units a bit, but as you said, the archers will come for one player, and the second barracks is now coming for Hera. So yeah, a few archers here could be really, really devastating, and it's going to be cav archers.
Yeah, I was going to say it's going to be Cav Archers, which actually does make more sense
Mm-hmm.
since he's already in the Castle Age and he doesn't need to upgrade crossbow, and you can just make Mongol Cav Archers, which of course do fire faster as well.
Mm-hmm.
He's even added a knight, but unless Hera can, basically I see this as being a very similar situation to the last game. Hera's behind in tech, and he's going to try and mount a great defense, but Liereyy is probably going to be able to break it thanks to having the superior units.
Yeah, absolutely. Lierey's up to castle already. Hera's only halfway there. The Cav Archers are coming out, and there's really no good way to get trades with Spearmen versus CA. So Hera will tower up a bit, try to hold the line with some spears. He did add in a second stable, so our red player here, Hera, is going to have bloodlines and maybe some knight production to go along with this. But yeah, the position is precarious. Position is very precarious.
The Spearmen have hit those cavalry archers once yet, and they've killed about 5 already. So Lierey's Cav Archer's already paying off, and he's only got 3. So I can see this very quickly going in favor of Liereyy here, as Hera's still very, very open on his map as well. He's not walled up at all, and admittedly it's not an easy map to wall, but I feel like he could have tried a little bit more to wall in maybe from these woodlines. I don't know, it's tough because it is a rough map to close off. But if you've got a rough map to close off, then I feel like you need to probably play a little bit more aggressively. Maybe he should have considered going for the deer in the middle and being a bit more aggressive early feudal. It's hard to say really, but I certainly feel like his position right now is a precarious one, and one that he's going to struggle to come back from at this rate. Good save on that villager at the TC there, by the way. I don't know if you guys saw that. Just hopped in at the last second.
Yeah, Hera is still doing a couple things really nicely. He's going to add in a couple of knights. Unfortunately for him, Liereyy, maybe after seeing the stables, is starting to add in some camels. So Lierey's going to go for the kind of faster counter rather than spearmen. He'll go for a few camels. The Cav Archer numbers are still quite high for Liereyy, so Hera's in trouble, but we will see a siege workshop coming along with this, and we're going to see Hera try to make a game of it. In the meantime, Lierey's goal seems to be to just send small armies all around Hera's base and continue to harass that eco.
Yeah, and it's so easy with cavalry archers as well, and with the mobility that you have with the 8 attack damage, they'll pick off villagers all over the place so easily. It's going to be difficult for Hera to come back from this and get the map control that he needs to, avoid having this raiding coming in for the rest of the game, essentially. He's trying to mass up some knights now. He's got okay upgrades, +1/+1, but like you say, the camel's already out on the field. His woodline at the back's now being pushed by these 3 units back here, and Lierey's in the driver's seat. He's got 2 TCs up as well, even 3 TCs, and he still has the aggression going as well. So Hera, who's staying on 1 TC, is basically on a really short timer right now before things get too out of hand and he can't pull it back.
Yeah, and Liereyy just looking like the stronger player, basically forcing his opponent into positions that are not so fun. I mean, Hera here essentially is having to try to play a mangonel defense on 1 TC with some knights because, well, Liereyy forced his hand into doing so, and this is his only way to survive. Unfortunately, it's not a great win condition unless your opponent isn't good at microing, and in this case, Liereyy certainly is going to be fine, presumably, to micro around a couple mangonel shots. So, really tough road ahead for Hera. Right now, it's 43 villagers for him and 63 for Liereyy.
Yeah, absolutely, and I mean, Hera here, he needs to start getting more military out on the map because he's still a 2-to-1 military advantage for Liereyy, and while he's on 1 TC, he should be investing more into military production, but it's not working out for him because he's just unable to get the numbers up. He's got the mangonel, the great equalizer that could be a solid mangonel shot, but with Liereyy having bloodlines, that mangonel can't even kill the cavalry archers in one shot here, and he's just going to have a hard time of it as Lierey's cavalry archers numbers get up higher and higher, and here is spread thinner and thinner on the map.
Yeah, and Liereyy, even though he's booming up back at home, I think he smells blood in the water. He continues to invest a lot into Cav Archers, into camels. He's trying to keep a lot of pressure on multiple fronts, basically making his opponent fight in 3 areas and micro everything at the same time. So good on Liereyy right now. He's making Hera work very hard. University is coming for our blue player, so we may even see some ballistics to go along with this. But right now, Hera's in dire straits. His eco has a little more in the bank, But like we saw last game, going to Imp doesn't solve any problems for you if your opponent has an army like this in your base.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's all about numbers at the end of the day. You know, having 6 Cavalier when your opponent has 23 Cavalry Archers, it's, you know, doesn't make a difference if you've got Cavalier. It's much better to have twice as many Knights than have the Cavalier upgrade in that instance, right? So you've got to have a solid number of units before they become even worth upgrading. And the investment to go Imperial and then upgrade your units, it just costs you too much when your opponent outnumbers you 2 or 3 to 1. So Liereyy here knows that. He's keeping the pressure up, but I mean, he's so comfortable. He's got 80 vills. I mean, I just don't see how Liereyy could possibly lose this game from this position unless he ends up making some horrific mistake. I'm not sure what Hera could even do to try and equalize this out at this stage. I think the opportunity to do that has already passed. Maybe sounds a bit harsh, but I think that's the way I see it right now.
Yeah, if this game does get out of control, as Hera does get +2, and he's going to try to go in and raid Liereyy because he can't really do much else, I guess. If this game does get out of control, I think we'll think back to that fight for the center of the map and Hera's inability to take all of those free deer while Liereyy took them quite nicely. There is a decent fight in the center of the map. We got the red player coming forward, getting a couple mangonel shots close to those cav archers, but not really landing damage, and the camels are coming in to maybe snipe the mangonels.
Yeah, and Hera does a decent job of protecting one of the mangonels there. That's not too bad. But yeah, you have to keep in mind as well, you know, Hera doesn't see the whole map. He is going to call GG right now, but, you know, he's not really past the center of the map for quite some time. He only just went out across the map. He doesn't quite know how much economy that Liereyy has in the back here. Obviously, Liereyy making so many cavalry archers, Hera's probably thinking, oh, he's probably on 1 or 2 TCs as well. Probably more likely 2, but maybe, you know, didn't realize that he was on so many villagers as well as having such a large army. Really well played from Liereyy there. Got off to a solid start, really put his foot down, held the middle of the map, and really those deer, I feel like those deer were so instrumental and so important to Liereyy that game, to getting him such a comfortable advantage and turning that advantage into a win.
Yeah, Zach, I agree. I think Liereyy identified key things in both games, fishing and getting the deer, was able to accomplish those tasks. But, you know, one of the nice things about this tournament that you guys have set up is that it's a very long tournament and players themselves will change and improve throughout it. So we should keep our eyes on Hera here and see if he can get a better result. Certainly running up against the Buzzsaw and Liereyy, but definitely a guy who I have a lot of interest in as we move forward.
Yeah, exactly, and it was a tough match for Hera, first round fighting against Liereyy, but the way that this tournament works is we essentially have a double round robin. Every team will face every other team twice in the first round. So although Hera faces Liereyy here, or we should say, although coaches face Aftermath here, they will also face every other team in the first round as well. So in the future, coaches will face Tyrant in the first round, but they'll also face LOS, they'll also face VNA, they'll also face SY. I don't know if that maybe makes it any easier for them, since they are the 8th seed, but, or not the 8th seed, but the 8th qualifier, but it's still an opportunity for them to, sorry, did I say Tyrant? I meant to say Secret. You have to excuse us, we are going to make this mistake, because it's still fresh news. But yeah, of course, they'll play Secret in the first round. But that's just the excitement and the beauty of the format that we have. So anyway, guys, we are going to come back out of this game. Killer B, thank you so much for being here today. Much appreciated. You're going to be back with me tomorrow as well, because we are going to be casting tomorrow at the same time. That's going to be 14 GMT, since we're going to be covering all of the round of 16 and all of the round of 8 over the next day and tomorrow as well.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me. This was a lot of fun. Can't wait for tomorrow. Can't wait to see T90 and Rez step in and cast some really great matches that I expect to come for between a lot of 1v1 pro players in just a few more minutes. But thanks again for having me. I'll catch you guys all tomorrow. Killer_B_AOC if you want to look for me on Twitch or on YouTube. Much love to you guys. Thanks for being out there. Thanks for having fun. Zach, good luck with the rest of the day, my friend.
Yep. Thank you, and your link is in the chat as well, so you can go and follow Killer B over there also. But yeah, we'll catch you tomorrow, and thanks for being here as always. We can see there then on the bracket that Liereyy will advance and face Doubt in the round.
All right, guys, figured I could wrap things up here for you at the end. Thanks for tuning in. Of course, these games are going to be live on Escape starting at 14 GMT most weekends. You can find the schedule. I'll put a link below the channel. But the Champions League is upon us. It's going to heat up. It's going to get even more competitive, especially this 1v1 stage. We're in the first part, so, you know, people are getting eliminated who are maybe not the very highest level players, but soon we're going to start seeing Liereyy in Doubt. We're going to start seeing the Viper having to play somebody, maybe Hart. I guess we'll find out later in the day. So keep your eyes on Escape Champions League, 14 GMT, July 21st, July 22nd, and July 28th are the dates for the 1v1 Eastern Europe. Thanks for tuning in. I'll catch you guys soon. Pop by on Twitch sometime and say hello, or follow me on Twitter if you want to support us in that way. Yeah, thanks again. I hope you guys had fun.